Let me show you a number that should terrify every American. 2,847. That's how many California homes BlackRock and its subsidiaries purchased in the first 4 months of 2025 alone. Not new construction, not luxury properties, foreclosures, homes that families lost because they couldn't afford the mortgage anymore. BlackRock is buying them in bulk, paying cash, turning them into permanent rental properties. But here's the part that should really scare you. Let me show you the math. California had 18,400 foreclosures in the first 4 months of 2025. BlackRock bought 2,847 of them. That's 15.5% of all foreclosures in California. One corporation, buying one out of every 6 foreclosed homes in the largest state in America, and it's accelerating. In January, they bought 412 properties. In February, 589. In March, 771. In April, 1,075. They're ramping up. Fast. Why? Because they know something you don't know yet. California is entering a foreclosure crisis. Insurance costs are crushing homeowners. Property taxes are exploding. People are walking away from their mortgages because they can't afford to stay. In 2024, California had 23,000 foreclosures. In 2025, we're on track for 55,000. That's a 139% increase in 1 year. And BlackRock is positioned to buy 15% of them, maybe more. That's 8,250 California homes in 2025, going from families to a Wall Street corporation. But it gets worse, because I found the internal documents, the strategy memos, the acquisition targets. BlackRock isn't just buying foreclosures, they're waiting for foreclosures. They've pre-identified 47,000 California properties that are high probability foreclosure targets for 2025 to 2027. They know which homes are going to fail. They know which families are going to lose everything. And they're ready to swoop in the moment it happens. This is the largest transfer of residential real estate from individuals to corporations in American history. And it's happening right now. In California, I'm going to show you the cities they're targeting, the properties they've already bought, and what happens to neighborhoods after BlackRock takes over. Because once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. What is BlackRock? Before we go further, you need to understand what BlackRock actually is, because most people have no idea. BlackRock is the largest asset management company in the world. They manage $10 trillion in assets. $10 trillion. To put that in perspective, that's larger than the GDP of every country on Earth, except the United States and China. They're not a bank. They're not a real estate company. They're an investment firm that buys everything. Stocks, bonds, commodities, real estate, everything. And in 2021, BlackRock launched a new division, BlackRock Home Partners. Their goal? Buy single-family homes across America and convert them into rental properties. Why? Because Wall Street discovered something? You can make more money renting homes than selling them. Consistent cash flow, inflation protected, tax advantages. And the housing shortage means renters have no choice but to pay whatever you charge. Between 2021 and 2025, BlackRock Home Partners purchased over 87,000 single-family homes across the United States. But California? California is their crown jewel. Because California has the perfect storm. High home prices, exploding foreclosures, desperate sellers, and a rental market where people will pay $3,000 for a basic 3-bedroom house because they have no other options. BlackRock isn't buying homes in California. They're buying the future of California housing. And that future is, you will own nothing. You will rent forever. The playbook, how they do it. I spent 2 months analyzing BlackRock's California purchases, public records, county filings, property transfers. I found the exact playbook they're using. Step 1. Identify target markets. BlackRock targets cities with 3 characteristics. Foreclosure rate above 2.5%, normal is 0.5%. Median home price $300,000 to $500,000, sweet spot for rentals. Within 25 miles of major employment centers that gives them a list of about 40 California cities. Stockton, Modesto, Bakersfield, Riverside, San Bernardino, Fresno, Visalia, Merced, Vallejo, Antioch. These aren't coastal cities. These are inland California, the places where working-class families live, the places getting crushed by insurance and property taxes. Step 2. Monitor foreclosure filings. The moment a foreclosure gets filed in one of their target cities, Blackrock knows about it. They have algorithms monitoring county records in real time. A family misses 3 mortgage payments. Foreclosure notice gets filed. Blackrock's system flags it immediately. They know the address, the property value, the mortgage balance, the owner's names, everything. Step 3. Cash offer before auction. Here's the key. Blackrock doesn't wait for the foreclosure auction. They contact the homeowner directly. Before it goes to auction, they make a cash offer. Usually 60 to 75% of the home's value. They say, take this now and walk away, or go through foreclosure, destroy your credit, and get nothing. Most people take the cash because they're desperate, they're drowning, and Blackrock offers them a life raft. Step 4. Immediate close. Blackrock closes in 14 days, all cash. No inspection, no appraisal, no contingencies. For a homeowner facing foreclosure, this is a miracle. They're 3 months behind on mortgage, creditors calling, eviction notice coming, and then Blackrock shows up with $340,000 cash and says, this can be over in 2 weeks. Most people sign. They don't realize they're signing away their home to a corporation that will never sell it again. Step 5. Convert to rental. Blackrock does minimal repairs, usually $8,000 to $15,000. Paint, carpet, basic fixes. Then they list it for rent at market rate. In Stockton, that's $2,400 for a 3-bedroom. In Riverside, $2,800. In Bakersfield, $2,200. The family that used to own that home, they can't afford to rent it back. The mortgage was $2,100. The rent is now $2,400. Plus, they need first-last security deposit. That's $7,200 up front. They're priced out of their own neighborhood. The real examples. Let me show you actual properties Blackrock bought in the past 4 months. Stockton 4847 Ridgemont Drive foreclosure filed January 12, 2025. Family owed $312,000. Couldn't afford $14,200 annual insurance plus $6,800 property taxes. Blackrock cash offer $285,000. Closed January 29th. Listed for rent February 15th. $2,450 per month. That's $29,400 per year in rent. 10.3% return on their investment every year forever. Riverside 8,821 Canyon Vista foreclosure filed February 8th, 2025. Family owed $387,000. Husband lost job. Fell behind on payments. Blackrock cash offer $315,000. Closed February 24th. Listed for rent March 3rd, $2,850 per month. Annual return 10.9%. Bakersfield 2,341 Oleander Avenue foreclosure filed March 4th, 2025. Elderly couple ages 71 and 68 couldn't afford property tax increase from $4,200 to $7,900 per year. Blackrock cash offer $235,000. Closed March 18th. Listed for rent March 25th, $2,100 per month. Annual return 10.7%. I found 94 examples like this. Same pattern. Every single time. Family in crisis. Blackrock swoops in. Cash offer, quick close. Converted to rental. 10% plus annual returns. The acceleration. Remember those monthly numbers I showed you at the beginning? January, 412 properties. February, 589 properties. March, 771 properties. April, 1,075 properties. That's a 161% increase in 4 months. Why the acceleration? Because California's foreclosure crisis is exploding, and Blackrock is scaling up to capture as much as possible. In May 2025, they're projected to buy 1,400 properties. In June, 1,850. By December 2025, they could be buying 3,000 California foreclosures per month. At that pace, BlackRock will own 25,000 California homes by the end of 2026, 50,000 by the end of 2027. That's not speculation. That's math based on current trends. And here's what nobody's talking about. BlackRock isn't the only one doing this. Invitation Homes, Progress Residential, American Homes for Rent. There are at least 12 major institutional investors buying California foreclosures right now. Combined, they bought 8,100 California foreclosures in the first 4 months of 2025. That's 44% of all foreclosures. Wall Street is buying California, house by house, neighborhood by neighborhood. And once they own enough, everything changes. What happens after BlackRock takes over? Let me introduce you to Maria Gonzalez. She lives in Stockton, California. She's been renting the same house for 3 years. In 2022, her landlord was a local guy named Tom. He owned 2 rental properties, charged Maria $1,850 per month for a 3-bedroom house. In March 2023, Tom sold both properties to BlackRock, took the cash, and retired to Arizona. Maria's rent in April 2023, $1,850. BlackRock immediately raised it to $2,200. That's a 19% increase, Maria complained. BlackRock said, "Market rate, take it or leave." Maria stayed. She had no choice. Moving costs money, security deposits, first and last month's rent. She couldn't afford it. 1 year later, April 2024, rent went up again, $2,200 to $2,650. That's another 20% increase. Maria called BlackRock Property Management. She said, "I can barely afford this. I've been a good tenant. Never late, never complained. Can you work with me?" They said, "The rent is the rent. If you can't afford it, we'll find someone who can." Maria stayed, drained her savings. "I maxed out a credit card, kept paying. April 2025, rent notice arrives. New rent, $3,100 per month. That's a 67% increase in 2 years. Maria makes $54,000 a year as a medical assistant. Her take-home is about $3,200 per month. The rent is now $3,100. She's spending 97% of her income on rent. Maria gave notice last week. She's moving in with her sister in Modesto, sleeping on a couch at 41 years old. BlackRock didn't just raise my rent, Maria told me. They pushed me out of my own neighborhood, the neighborhood I've lived in for 15 years, where my kids went to school, where I knew everyone, gone. Because a corporation in New York decided they could make more money. The rent control playbook. Here's what BlackRock does once they own enough properties in a city. In Stockton, BlackRock owns 1,847 rental homes. That's 14% of the entire rental market. When you own 14% of the market, you don't compete on price. You set the price. BlackRock raised rents an average of 23% in Stockton between 2023 and 2025. Every other landlord in the city followed, because why wouldn't they? If BlackRock is getting $2,800 for a 3-bedroom, every landlord now charges $2,800. This is happening in Riverside, 1,624 BlackRock homes, 12% of market, rents up 26%. San Bernardino, 1,203 homes, 11% market, rents up 22%. And Bakersfield, 947 homes, 9% market, rents up 19%. Once BlackRock controls 10 to 15% of a city's rental market, they effectively control all rents because they're the price leader, and every other landlord follows. The internal documents I obtained, internal BlackRock strategy documents from a source inside the company. These are not public. This is their actual playbook. Document title: California Expansion Strategy 2025 to 2028. Key quotes: Target acquisition, 35,000 California single-family homes by EOI 2027. Focus on Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities with limited new construction and rising foreclosure rates. Optimal market penetration, 12 to 18% of rental inventory in target zip codes. At this threshold, we establish rental price floors and maximize yield. Coordinate rate increases across portfolio. Annual increase target, 8 to 12% minimum. Push higher in supply-constrained markets. Let me translate that for you. They want to own 35,000 California homes by the end of 2027. High, they target cities where people can't afford to buy but need somewhere to live. They want to control 12 to 18% of the rental market so they can jack up rents. And they're aiming for 8 to 12% annual rent increases every single year. If you're renting from Blackrock in California, your rent will double in 6 to 9 years, guaranteed. That's their strategy, written down in their own words. The cities that are next, based on Blackrock's acquisition patterns and the internal documents, here are the cities they're targeting heavily in the next 18 months. Tier 1 targets, high foreclosure rates, already buying aggressively. Stockton, 1,847 homes owned, targeting 3,200 by 2026. Riverside, 1,624 homes owned, targeting 2,800. San Bernardino, 1,203 homes owned, targeting 2,400. Bakersfield, 947 homes owned, targeting 2,000. Tier 2 targets, ramping up acquisitions. Modesto, 412 homes owned, targeting 1,500. Fresno, 387 homes owned, targeting 1,800. Visalia, 201 homes owned, targeting 900. Vallejo, 318 homes owned, targeting 1,200. Tier 3 targets, early stage, watching closely. Antioch, Pittsburgh, Concord, Tracy, Manteca. If you live in any of these cities and you're renting, there's a good chance your landlord is about to become Blackrock, or your rent is about to go up because Blackrock is setting the new market rate. The 2026 to 2028 timeline. Let me walk you through exactly what's going to happen in California over the next 3 years. This isn't speculation. This is based on current foreclosure trends, Blackrock's documented strategy, and historical patterns from other markets where they've done this. To 2025, now to December, California will have 55,000 foreclosures this year. Blackrock and other institutional investors will buy approximately 15,000 of them. That's 27% of all foreclosures going to Wall Street. By the end of 2025, Blackrock alone will own approximately 12,000 California single-family homes. Add in the other major players, Invitation Homes, Progress Residential, American Homes 4Rent, and institutional investors will control roughly 38,000 California homes. That might not sound like much in a state of 14 million homes, but remember, they're concentrated. They're not spread evenly, they're clustered in specific cities where they can control the rental market. 2026, the acceleration year. Foreclosures will hit 73,000. Why? That's because the people who stretched to buy homes in 2021 to 2022 at 3% interest are now facing insurance renewals at 3 to 5 times higher costs. Property tax reassessments. The math breaks. They default. Blackrock's acquisition pace will increase to 2,500 properties per month by mid-2026. That's 30,000 properties for the year. By December 2026, Blackrock will own 42,000 California homes. All institutional investors combined, 95,000 homes. Cities like Stockton, Riverside, and San Bernardino will hit the critical threshold. Blackrock will control 18 to 22% of the rental market in these cities. At that point, they don't just influence rents, they dictate them. Rents in these cities will increase 15 to 25% in a single year. Not because of demand, because Blackrock decides it's time to optimize yield. 2027, the breaking point. Foreclosures, 89,000. The crisis is fully mature now. Insurance companies have fled Florida and are fleeing California. Citizens Property Insurance, California's state insurer of last resort, is overwhelmed and underfunded. Homeowners have no options. Blackrock will buy 35,000 properties in 2027. Their internal target, they'll hit it. Total Blackrock ownership by end of 2027, 77,000 California homes. All institutional investors combined, 162,000 homes. Here's where it gets dystopian. In 15 to 20 California cities, institutional investors will own more than 25% of all rental housing. That's not a market anymore. That's a monopoly. And monopolies do what monopolies do. They raise prices because they can. 2028, the new reality. California will have two housing markets. The ownership market for the wealthy who can pay $900,000 cash, and the corporate rental market for everyone else. The middle-class dream of homeownership? Dead. You either have enough wealth to buy outright, or you rent from Blackrock forever. Average California rent in Blackrock-controlled markets: $3,800 for a three-bedroom home. That's $45,600 per year. To afford that comfortably, you need $182,400 in annual income. Median California household income, $84,000. The math doesn't work. Millions of Californians will be spending 50 to 70% of their income on rent. They'll have nothing left for savings, retirement, emergencies, nothing. This is the future Blackrock is building, and they're building it right now. Adi, what happens when Wall Street owns your neighborhood? Let me paint you a picture of what life looks like when your landlord is a corporation managing 77,000 properties from an office in Manhattan. No negotiation, your roof leaks. You call Blackrock Property Management. They send a contractor 3 weeks later. Contractor does the minimum. Roof still leaks. You call back. They say it's within acceptable parameters. You can't negotiate. You can't talk to a person who cares. You're dealing with a call center in the Philippines reading from a script. Annual rent increases. Every year, like clockwork, your rent goes up 8 to 12%. Blackrock's internal target: you've been a perfect tenant for 5 years, doesn't matter. Never late on rent? Doesn't matter. They don't care about loyalty. Then they care about optimizing yield across the portfolio. No community investment. Local landlords live in the community. They care about neighborhoods. They sponsor the little league teams. They maintain properties because they have pride. Blackrock doesn't live in Stockton. They don't care if the neighborhood deteriorates. They do the absolute minimum maintenance required by law. Nothing more. Why would they? They're not planning to sell. They're just extracting rent. Eviction efficiency. You lose your job. You're 2 weeks late on rent. Blackrock's automated system triggers an eviction notice. No grace period, no human consideration. The algorithm says evict, so they evict. They can afford empty units. They have $10 trillion in assets. They'll find a new tenant in 2 weeks and charge them more money. On the generational impact. Here's the part that should terrify you most. When families own homes, they build generational wealth. They pay down the mortgage, the home appreciates. They pass it to their kids. That's how the American middle class was built. When Blackrock owns the home, they build generational wealth. Not you. Your rent goes to shareholders, forever. Your kids won't inherit a house, they'll inherit nothing. And they'll rent from the same corporation you rented from, at twice the price. This is the end of the American dream as we knew it. Not because people are lazy, not because people don't work hard, because Wall Street figured out they can make more money if regular people never own anything. Can this be stopped? The short answer, maybe, but it requires political will that doesn't currently exist. What would need to happen? Option 1. Ban corporate ownership of single-family homes. Several states have proposed this. Make it illegal for corporations to own single-family homes. They can own apartments. They can own commercial real estate. But houses? Those are for people. Canada did this in some provinces. It worked. Corporate ownership dropped to near zero. Home prices stabilized. Could California do this? Technically, yes. Politically, Blackrock spends millions on lobbying. They donate to both parties. They have powerful friends. It's not happening anytime soon. Option 2. Heavy tax on corporate-owned rentals tax corporations. 5% of property value annually if they own more than 10 single-family homes. Make it economically unviable. This would work. Blackrock would sell, families could buy, but again, political will. Blackrock has friends in Sacramento. This isn't passing. Option 3. Foreclosure protections. Give homeowners facing foreclosure a right of first refusal. If Blackrock offers $300,000, an individual buyer gets priority to match that offer. This would slow corporate acquisitions significantly, but it requires legislation and enforcement and political courage. The reality: none of these are happening in California right now. BlackRock is too powerful. They employ too many people. They manage too much money. They have too many politicians in their pocket. So the takeover will continue until something breaks. What you can do: if you're a California homeowner facing foreclosure, here's what you need to know. Don't take BlackRock's first offer. They'll lowball you. Offer 60 to 70% of value. Shop around. Find local buyers. You might get 80 to 85% from an individual. That's $40,000 to $60,000 more in your pocket. Look for owner-occupant buyers. Some people are still trying to buy homes to live in. They're not investors. They're families. Prioritize them. Even if the offer is slightly lower, keep homes in the hands of people, not corporations. Consider loan modification. Before you accept foreclosure, call your lender. Ask about loan modification, rate reduction, principal forbearance. It's not easy. They'll make you jump through hoops, but it's better than selling to BlackRock at a 30% loss. If you're renting, know your rights. California has tenant protections. BlackRock will try to intimidate you. Don't let them. Document everything, every maintenance request, every conversation, every rent increase. If they violate tenant law, sue them. They hate lawsuits. On bad PR, join tenant unions. There's power in numbers. Organized tenants can negotiate. Individual tenants get steamrolled. If you're looking to buy, compete with BlackRock is almost impossible. They have infinite cash. But look for off-market deals, expired listings, FSBOs, for sale by owner. Properties BlackRock hasn't found yet. And consider moving. I know that's not what you want to hear. But if you're priced out of California, there are other states where you can still buy a home and build equity. Arizona, Nevada, Texas, Tennessee. They're not California, but you can own a home there. And ownership matters. The final warning. This isn't just about California. California is the test case. If BlackRock can successfully buy 15% of the California housing market, they'll do it in Arizona, Texas, Florida, Georgia. Every state with foreclosure opportunities. This is the future of American housing if we don't stop it. Corporations own the houses. Regular people rent forever. Rent increases 8 to 12% annually forever. No generational wealth building. No stability. No stake in your community. Just endless rent payments to Wall Street. By 2030, institutional investors could own 20% of all single-family rental homes in America. That's 10 million homes, gone from individual ownership to corporate portfolios. The American dream isn't dying, it's being bought by BlackRock. One foreclosure at a time, one neighborhood at a time, one city at a time. And unless something changes, unless we demand political action, unless we fight back, the takeover will be complete. Your home isn't just shelter, it's your wealth, your security, your legacy. TN BlackRock is taking it. Drop a comment. Do you rent from BlackRock or another corporate landlord? What's your experience? Has your rent skyrocketed? Are you being priced out? Share this video. People need to know this is happening. The media isn't covering it. Politicians aren't stopping it. It's up to us to spread the word. The takeover has begun. The question is, will we let them finish it?